Hello and welcome to Unleashed, the show that explores how to thrive as an independent professional. I'm your host, Will Bachman, and if you go to umbrex.com and click on that Unleashed tab, you can sign up for the weekly email, let you know about all of the episodes of this daily show. I am very excited to be here today with Nina Froriep, who helps coaches, consultants, executives market their services through video marketing. Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Will. Look forward to this conversation.
So first, just give me an overview. So let's say a coach wants to promote herself, get known, establish some thought leadership. They're working with you. What are you helping that person do?
So for the most part, and everybody has a little bit of a different entry point, but basically what happens is that as coaches, as service providers, we are the product. We need to put ourselves out there on social media, on our websites, to establish that trust, that thought leadership, and sort of help people make a decision between five coaches, which one is the coach I'm going to work with. So where I help is it's manifold, but in a nutshell is I help you position yourself as the likable expert, as a person that people want to be working with, and we do that with video. We do it with easy to implement video and with consistent video. And those are sort of the two main things that I will drum home until the cows come home. I'm Swiss by birth, so the cows are very important to me. So basically, we do not focus on major, equipment setups, and if you want to come and geek out on the newest cameras and the lenses and whatever to use, I will happily refer you to a couple of my colleagues. That's not my forte. I know enough to deal with it, but it's not what I do. And then the other thing is just if you're not posting consistently on social media, there's no way for you to measure your success and to measure whether actually the videos are doing any good for you and how you can adjust to make it work for you should it not work for you. So the consistency part is really important. And consistency, there's so many levels of consistency. It's the consistency of showing up timely, but there's and regularly, but there's also the aspect of consistency within your brand. So that alone is an evening filling program.
Okay, so we're talking primarily about posting to LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm. In our case, yes, yeah.
What are some of the primary tips that you start people with? Just sort of level set. So I'm interested in kind of duration of the video, and like topic, format, setting. Yeah. What should they be wearing? You see some people doing these things in their car or walking around the parking lot or something, or some people will do it, more sitting at their desk. So what are some of the first things you start telling a client about, the basics of this?
Yeah, I think the basics is just doing, right? And the other basic is to keep it simple and to meet your clients where you will meet them when they get on a Zoom with you. So if I'm looking for a coach to help me with my business, to grow my business, or, I don't know what it is that I need help with. Do I want a coach that is constantly running around and is in their car and in the parking lot? No, right? So if you want, I always tell my clients the biggest compliment you can get is if somebody has watched a video of yours or several and gets on that first initial call, that all important call to, hopefully have a hot lead or a warm lead become somebody who considers buying from you. The biggest compliment you can get is, oh my God, you look or you sound just like you are on your videos. That is what I want for you. So yes, there's some people out there who do some really cool videos where they're walking around, but think of your audience, where they're meeting you and what their needs are. So for me, it's like, keep it super simple, keep it such that you can execute it and you can execute it consistently. And all the fancy schmancy stuff, if you have nothing better to do, or this becomes a hobby of yours, knock yourself out, but not in the beginning. I want you just to get to good video that you can actually use. As for your other questions, length, It changes. So the answer is yes, but I would say the shorter the better. People have an attention span these days of apparently 2.7 seconds. So, ditch the graphic at the beginning and with a little sound ding dong. You can put that at the end if you must, but a video is, starts, you're talking, boom, that's it. And then so some studies I just looked at the other day said that anything that's longer than a minute has a chance of never being watched to the end.
So you're saying skip this like intro, little music, logo, that kind of stuff. Just jump right into it with your face talking to the camera. I mean, within the first second, you're talking to the camera.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm still old school and say my name first. I have a lot of clients who are ditching that even and go right into the topic and introduce themselves at the end of the video for that exact reason.
Okay, gotcha.
And think of the video in what environment it's playing. If somebody is playing the video on your LinkedIn feed, they kind of see your name and your photo on there anyway. So no need to really say, hi, this is Nina with Clockwise Productions. I normally just say, this is Nina, but even that I could save myself and save it for the end.
Oh, okay, save it for the end. If you want to learn more, go visit my website, whatever.
Well, the call to action. So that's another thing is, have your call to actions be, I will never let my clients get away with a video that does not have a call to action. And at the beginning, there's always a big discussion, or often a big discussion around, I don't want to be too salesy. And I always say, asking someone to engage with you in the comments by asking them a question, that's not being salesy. That's just common sense. So if I'm going through the work, the pain, the time to create a video, I want to make sure that people do something to engage and I can get them into my orbit or into my ecosystem. So just a simple question at the end about the topic that you were just talking about, and a call to action of asking them to engage in your feed with that is really what you want, because that's where you're creating the videos for, is to get engagement.
Okay. What are some really good call to actions that you recommend? Is it like sign up on my subscribe to something, or answer a question below, or what are the best?
All of the above. Yeah. You want to have a nice balance. So, it could be that you create videos that go with a lead magnet. So it could be, click on that, a link in the comments, and it'll lead, to your best top tips of XYZ. It could be a quiz that you have every once in a while, not too often. You could be a little bit more salesy and say, I have a new program coming up. I'm filling a new program. I have some slots opening up in my one-on-one. To find out more, click on the link below. But it could also be as simple as, I always love the asking a succinct question and then I'm having people engage with me, because the whole reason why I am on social media is to get people into my system and get them onto my email list. I mean, that should be your first and foremost target of being, especially if you're on LinkedIn.
Okay. So you mentioned in terms of length, I think you said, anything more than a minute, people may not listen to. So what's the ideal length?
I mean, so with that, having said that, a minute is your ideal length. I find very few people hit that 1 minute length, including myself. I normally land somewhere 90 seconds to 120 seconds. I think there's a differentiator between people. I think there's groups of, there's the lurkers who want to learn from you without paying. They'll watch the video to the end if they want to learn from you. There's the people who just are sort of drive-bys. And the drive-bys might only listen to the first 30 seconds or so to sort of get a feel for you. But the people who are serious about wanting to buy from you or are doing their homework to see whom they want to engage with, they will stick it out and listen to the end, I think. But I think, I know from my behavior, and I always ask my clients, the consensus is that anything that is much longer than 90 seconds, people are even loath to even click on it because they kind of don't even want to go there, so you kind of don't want to have to engage in a video that's longer than 2 minutes, let's say.
What about captions. So what I've heard is that the majority of people will watch LinkedIn videos with the sound turned off unless something really piques their interest. So, if you're just talking to the camera, they may never get any piece of your message.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So at the default on LinkedIn is without sound on a video. That is just a default. You cannot change that. Number one. Number two, 80% of all videos are being consumed on your iPhone or on your smartphone, I should say. And of that, another 85% without sound. So having closed captioning is imperative. And there's ways of getting to closed captioning fairly quickly and easily without having to edit. You can upload a separate file. It's called an SRT file together with your video, and you get an SRT file from any transcription service. It's super quick. So there is no reason not to have closed captioning with your video on social media.
Yeah. So just on that, I mean, just a couple transcription services that I've used for listeners would be rev.com, rev.com. I've used that before. If you want a really high quality human transcription, it's $1 a minute.
No, I find that not worth it, quite frankly. Yeah. Because you're going to go in and change it you're going to have to, like, my name, my last name, my company name is always misspelled because it's Clockwise Productions as 3 words, not as 2. So I go with otter.ai, for instance. It's $10 a month and you get 6,000 minutes of transcription and SRT. I love Rev if it needs to be something very specific and you do want to have that human transcription, but for a video, most likely not worth it.
Yeah. So I use Otter as well. That's what we use for the transcripts of this show. So awesome. those of you who are listening, who do occasionally want to listen to read a transcript, go to the website, umbrex.com. On the Unleashed tab, we have the transcripts for the shows there. Cool. And we use Otter for those. So they're not perfect, misspell a few words, but you get the sense of it. For a shorter video, I mean, it's $1 a minute on Rev, but it's only gonna be like a couple bucks or something. So either way, so get the transcripts and then you request it in the SRT format, you download that. And then when you upload your video, you can also just upload the SRT file. Yeah. LinkedIn has instructions on that. What is your tips to your clients about any other sort of titles or production value? I think you're trying to get a balance of at least do the video. So that could slow you down, but it does add a nice professional touch if you have, your name, your logo, website or something. Yeah. So what sort of tools do you recommend, or what are your recommendations around just adding some titles or something to add just pump it up a little bit on the production value?
Absolutely. So, I mean, what I teach I have my clients sort of are in 2 different camps. There's a camp where it's like, I'm kind of pretty nifty, I can figure this out myself. And then there's a camp of like, do not even want to deal with any kind of editing. Those people I set up with an editor. And again, you can have, you can do bulk deals with people nowadays and get really reasonable pricing if you do want to work with an editor.
What is a reasonable pricing if you're planning on getting videos on a relatively consistent basis? Like, what are some reasonable rates to pay a video editor, would you say?
That's sort of one of those questions that you can't really answer well. There's people who are happy with whatever they get on Upwork, which I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. These are not editors. These are I don't want to, be too generic about this, but a lot of people that you get on these, inexpensive website platforms are not editors. They're people who know how to use an editing software, but they're not editors. And there's people who are happy with that and they'll go with that, and that's fine. I only work with professional editors that have actually learned their craft and know not only how to edit something or trim it, but also sort of know the ins and outs of visual storytelling. So it can go anywhere from, $5 an hour to $60 an hour. But if I hire a $60 an hour guy, or gal, I should say, I know that they're going to have a really fast computer. So they're going to make up for a lot of the time that I'm paying the kid that I'm paying peanuts to. He's going to have a peanut computer with probably bootleg software. I like establishing a workflow with somebody who's a professional and they'll make up for the money by being fast, and by me not having to give them like the editor I have now, I don't give him feedback anymore. We have an established routine. He knows what I want. He's a professional editor. I give him raw material. I get back a finished video, and every once in a blue moon, I have something to change. And it mostly has to do nothing with his editing skill, but with me changing my mind about some content.
And where, so if you don't like Upwork, how do you recommend finding a high quality video editor?
So, I mean, in my case, I have been a filmmaker for 30 years. I have a very deep Rolodex. So, and I just ask around, quite frankly. I mean, that is, the editors that I hire are all exclusively by personal recommendation. And I have a group of about 4 or 5 people that I now work with and like to recommend. My favorite is the one that I keep for myself. And the others I recommend out. They're all great, but it's also personal preference of working. But to your question of earlier, I mean, there are apps like InShot. I have it on my phone. It works on Android and on iPhone. There's a free version of it, and then I think it's like a lifetime $35 investment. It's a great little app. It trims really well. It gives you a lot of freedom with the graphics. You can upload your logo to put it like a little, video bug down here or up here. And it
that
does
tool again
titles.
Is called InShot, you said?
InShot, IN, and then SCHOT.
SCHOT. Okay.
InShot, like shooting. And it works both on Androids and on iOS software on your phone. Right. And I actually teach my clients the whole workflow that I teach them is on their phones.
Got it. What are your thoughts around doing a series of videos? Sometimes you'll see people and it'll be like day 7 of 30 days to better health and fitness or something, or so they kind of try to get people to subscribe or come back or know that it's just not a one-off video, but here we're on day 8, day 9 topic is this. What's your thoughts around that?
Yes and no. So it's kind of in the planning, right? So if you know that you want to have a series, and let's say you want to have that series up on YouTube, or in addition to having it on your social media, you can do that. But I always say people happen upon your content. There's very few people that are lucky enough that there is a group of that they have that kind of fan base that will actually say, oh, now episode number 9 is coming out, episode number 10. Yeah. So in general, I like for people to keep their videos as agnostic or as non-defined as possible, and just really focus on the content. The other day I had somebody who was trying to explain their process, and they started each video with saying, and keep in mind we have a 2.7 second time span of people's interest in the beginning, where she was like, okay, so this is section number 2 out of 5 and subsection number 7 out of 20, and we're going to talk about X today. And I was like, holy crap, no one cares, right? Just talk about the freaking topic. Yeah. If it's really important to you for people to get the context of this topic, put a freaking slide up so they can see for themselves. But we tend to overthink our own content. We tend to overcomplicate. I mean, I know that, and I work with a lot of people who also come out of corporate and now starting their heart project as a coach, and they have so much knowledge. And it's like, oh my God, no, we don't need to impart all of our knowledge. We just need to impart what people actually need to move themselves forward. So series, you could solve it by, for instance, keeping the video simple and not, like, for instance, I have the naked video series where the only thing naked is the video. I used to say, welcome to episode 3, 4, 5. Then I started having to look it up because I'm like, oh my God, am I on 24 or is it 25? Then I would shoot the damn thing and decide that I wanted to put 25 before 24. Now I was out of sequence. So I just stopped saying which episode I was on, but I put it as a graphic on the video, because the graphic you can always go back and change.
Right. Okay.
So I think where it is useful, I have one client, she has like 5 buckets of knowledge, and she created 3 videos for each knowledge bucket. There, I think it makes sense to say, okay, we're talking about, precise language around pitching for, English speakers, non-native English speakers. This is the first video in a series because she was actually building one video on top of the other. But that's sort of the exception to the rule.
Okay. What are your tips around, once you've posted the video, of how to, engage with the, with the comments and so forth, so that all that investment that you've made in the video actually starts paying off?
Yeah. And that's why you want to have a call to action. You want to have a call to action at the end of the video, and of course in your post, right? So when you're posting a video, please don't post the transcript as well. You want to have a complimentary post. So either you're talking about something in the post and then are elaborating further in the video, or the other way around, right? So you have a generic video and you want to elaborate in the post. And that's actually the better way to do it, because then you can do one video and elaborate 5 different ways, right? And so one video holds up for a couple of different posts. You just want to make sure that your engagement is as easy as possible. So an easy to answer question, an open-ended question. And people love to engage and answer questions when they've invested their time to read a post or to watch a video. And then you ask a question like, I'm curious to hear, what is your favorite editing app? I mean, that is a quick and easy answer that I can put into the comments without having to think too much. And yet it shows me so much. It shows me whether people are editing, whether if they are editing, what they're using. And it's a great way for me to engage and continue the conversation, which is the whole reason why we're doing these videos to begin with.
Gotcha. What have you seen as the impact of starting a video, posting videos in terms of business development? Have you, so I'd be curious to see what kind of impact your clients have seen.
Yeah, so multifold. I think for the most part, when clients have never done video before and they're starting with video, what will happen is that a lot of people coming out of the woodworks that were either lurking or are old clients. So the first thing they'll do is sort of rekindle their existing network that will now engage with them much easier because they feel emboldened to do so. Because now it's no longer, written text. Now it's like an actual person. I've had several clients get a job right off the bat with the moment they started doing videos within the first week, and not from strangers, but from people that were old clients that see you and go like, oh my God, I used to love that Barbara. I used to love that Iris. Now I'm seeing her. She's amazing. Let me give her a call. I reach out, right? Long term, it's, again, I think it's a great differentiator. If you sort of look along the axis of how people, sort of crawl up the ladder of client engagement, once they get to the point where they know they have a problem they want to have solved, and they're kind of clear on who can solve the problem for them, they might be looking at 3 or 4 different people to solve that problem for them, or they're fishing around for solutions. And especially coaches, it's such a crowded field, and there's so many good coaches out there. So if you have that video content where people can look at you and say, I like that person, I think I could see myself working with him or her. It also is a self-selection tool. You will get people into a call with you or signing up to talk to you that have basically self-selected themselves by saying, I like this person. Whether you will like them is a different story, but at least you will have a crowd of people that you're attracting into your orbit that are most likely going to be your ideal clients, much more so than when you only have the written word and images or stock images or stuff like that.
Yeah. So we talked about kind of where to do it, and it sounds like you're doing it kind of in your office is the place to do it, or do you have a particular I mean, I think we said actually don't do it just like walking around or driving. You see some people doing these in cars, but what do you think is the right, like awesome, optimal setting that you've seen? Is it just with like a blank wall? Is it, in your office? Is it like outdoors in a garden or something? Like what do you think actually converts the best?
You convert. So what you really want to make sure is that you're in a place that's non-distraction and where you're well lit so people can see your face. So the background, I mean, there's extremes. I once had a background where somebody had their husband sleeping in the bed behind them. You kind of don't want to do that. I mean, and I kid you not. I kid you not. So you want to, again, I think so with the clients I work with, if I want you to have a location where you can shoot where you are anyway. So there's no excuse not to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, in my case, I spent an afternoon a year and a half ago. I painted this, I threw out a very messy, I mean, I'm not messy, but a messy looking bookshelf.
Uh-huh.
That's again the Swiss in me. I threw out a bookshelf. I painted the wall blue. I put in a New York decal because it's cool and I'm in New York. So, and that's just sort of but it works with my branded look. It works with my brand as I am in the world, right? And that is really what's important. But when you're starting with video, I normally have my clients, I prefer for them to do it at their desk because then there's no excuse not to do it. Because worst case scenario, you just record a freaking, QuickTime video or a Zoom video. So there's no excuse not to. Outside in general, no, unless you are a landscape architect or you have a, pressing reason to be outside. Mostly it's a noise consideration. And a lot of people don't understand that when they're outside, people can get, you're having a good take, everything's going really well. And then all of a sudden, your neighbor shows up and says, "Hey, how are you?" And walks right into your, there's privacy concerns there. So, I would say in your apartment, in your house, and at a place where you don't need to move, 5 pieces of furniture each time to shoot a video.
Now, you mentioned that sort of the more sophisticated technical questions you pass off, but what are some of your tips, the basic ones on what technology to use? Just simply using your phone to do it,
Yeah.
getting a digital SLR, using
No.
your phone, using your computers.
Yeah. Whatever you have, your computer, your phone nowadays, unless you're stuck on an iPhone 5, you're fine. 6 and up is fine.
Yeah.
I actually find I keep a 6 around because my 11 makes me look at least 10 years older. So sometimes I shoot with my 6. The iPhones or the smartphones that we have today are such amazing quality, and they shoot in like formats that social media doesn't even support. Social media is still at 720p, whereas what we shoot with our phones on a lower end is at 1080. So that's higher. 1080 is higher than 720. So we don't need these amazing cameras again, unless you're making a hobby out of it, unless there's something that goes beyond just your talking head videos that you're using to promote yourself. And if you need an excuse to buy something snazzy, go ahead. But my experience is that the snazzy stuff you buy will, if it gets unpacked, you once you see the pamphlet of how to use it, which is this thick, you're gonna like croak and want to return it. And most people that I know that have bought nice equipment end up never using it. And that microphone's the same way. Any microphone that you buy under $200 on Amazon is not going to be as good a quality as a microphone that's built into your laptop or built into your phone.
Now that's interesting. That's actually slightly different advice than I've heard before. So I've heard before that you should, if you're going to be recording some videos, like some selfie videos with your phone, you want to think about getting one of these Rode lavalier microphones to connect it to your camera, to your phone.
I disagree strongly.
You do? Okay.
I tell you, when I started being on podcasts about a year and a half ago, there were a couple of people who insisted that you have a professional mic. So I invested in a professional mic because I wanted to be on the podcast. And once or twice I forgot to plug it in. And actually I find the sound, I have a laptop, my Mac is a year and a half now. It's great quality audio. What is much more important is when the pandemic started, I just painted my place and I wasn't allowed to bring workers in to re-put up my bookshelf. So for the first 3 months of the pandemic, I had this really hollow sound that no microphone could fix, just because I was missing a full wall of books.
Yeah.
And so I actually put a carpet down and I started like putting a lot of pillows into this room just to, make the sound better. But that had nothing to do with the microphone and everything to do with the room I was in.
I had the same thing with a hollow room that I was using during part of the pandemic. And I went out and bought a stack of about a dozen ceiling tiles, like sound silencing ceiling tiles. And the box had been damaged. So it was like $1 a piece or something. And that helped soften up.
That helps a lot. They're ugly, but they help a lot.
Yeah, I just laid them along the walls.
Yep. They're just something. It's like when people do. I had a couple of clients who did a lot of work in the kitchen. They were like, healthy eating coaches,
right?
And they had that issue with the hollow kitchen sound. So it was just throw a couple of blankets on the floor or your duvet, like an old duvet or something that sort of eats up the sound a bit.
All right. And in terms of the topic selection, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, as well as you mentioned a couple of times you could use one video and do 2 posts on it. What's your point of view about if you have evergreen content, like how often should you think about rerunning that content? Like, so if you've done a library of videos, is it like run a video from a month ago or a quarter ago or half a year ago? Like, how often do you think it's okay to sort of recycle videos and have it be fresh again because it's been a while since someone's seen it?
Yeah. So 2 thoughts on that. I think the frequency is not in terms of days or months. The frequency is in terms of how much you're posting. So I post video nearly every day on social media. So after 2 months, I feel totally comfortable posting the same video again. Somebody who only posts at once a week, I would say wait a half a year until you recycle again ish. I also look at how well a video performs. If I have a really high performing video or high performing post that has a video in it, I might recycle that much sooner than that because it's obviously a topic that is timely and people like. Additionally, I think it also has to do with, where in your sales cycle are you? Is it something that's timely? And then lastly, I mean, not that I want to shoot 4 videos and keep recycling those 4. That would be kind of not so pretty. But most people, on social media, you have the people that watch everything. And they might do it because they're a big fan of yours. They might do it because they're in a pod with you and have to. And that's not the people you're producing content for. You're producing content for the drive-by occasional person that you would like to pull in, or for the person that you send a connection request to that's coming in to check you out and see who the hell you are. And for those people, the likelihood that they're going to catch the same video twice,
right.
I don't know what the stats are, but they're probably 0.000 whatever 1 or 3. So, the idea that everybody catches all of your content is totally not the case. Most people see your content sort of fleetingly on the run. So I would something that does well, I would shamelessly recycle.
What's your point of view on the suggestion that I've seen in some quarters of creating these personalized videos, short videos where you're not just publishing it broadly, but it's to one person, where if I wanted to reach out to you as a client, I'd record a little video. Nina, I really like what you're doing. And, I thought we could talk about this, and sending it to the person as a LinkedIn message. What's your thoughts around that?
I actually love doing that, and I do not enough of it. I always have to remind myself to do it. And there's great, like I'm a big fan of Dubb, D-U-B-B,
Hmm.
and it has a Chrome extension, so it actually has a button in your LinkedIn where you can press on, you can record that little private video. And what it also does is you can then choose to attach it to a longer non-private video,
Hmm.
which I really love. So people get sort of that personal video. They also, Dubb, and I think others do that as well, where you then have call to actions, which are sort of beyond the normal, right? So call to actions that are little buttons below your video where you can hit on reply with a video, which I find really cool, or sign up for a call with me, or you have these really you can put as many of them as you want, and I find that to be extremely helpful. And it's a great way to stand out. To stand out from the crowd, so to speak, by doing that. And what I normally do is I just say, okay, I'm going to just spend an hour doing that. And I have maybe, if I do an hour of it, I can probably get 20 of them done. And I need to know what I want to say. I need to make sure it stays, 30 seconds or shorter, and then just go. And then just hit those targets that I want to hit that day.
Okay. And you say those buttons, those would be buttons in the actual video, or I'm not.
The button. So when somebody clicks on the video, it's a pop-up, and the pop-up below the video is, you can do a thumbs up, thumbs down, you can do all sorts of engagements, and then below it are buttons and you can choose with every video you create how many of these call to actions you want to include.
Gotcha.
So that is Dubb does it. And Dubb, what I love about Dubb is that they're constantly innovating. So there's always new cool stuff that they add to their platform. So I'm a big fan of theirs.
That's great. I had heard of this tool called Vidyard, and I used it a couple times, but I didn't really just get into it enough. I mean, it was interesting, but I didn't put the energy into it.
There's a lot of tools out there. I think it's really a question of what serves your exact need right then, number one. And there's Vidyard, there's Bonbon. There's quite a few of them out there. Loom. I happen to love Dubb. Dubb has been very good to me. They feature me a lot, so I'm very thankful for them. I get quite a bit of clients through them. So we have a very happy marriage.
Yeah.
It's I think what's just really important is there's so many, same with InShot. There's other editing software apps that do the same, something similar. The thing is just choose one and stick with it. Every once in a while, something new, innovation comes along, great. But I find that a lot of people are spending way too much time with the cool apps, because the cool apps are not getting the videos out for you. You are. Yeah. So, it's like, in a way, it's like, this is what I recommend. Let's use this. Let's go forward. Let's create videos. And then if you want to start looking at some, things to make your life easier, I always love when my clients come back to me and say, I found this new cool app. It does this and this, which this app doesn't do. I'm the first one to check it out, but I'm also the first one to say, very cool, but no need to switch.
Okay. So let's take a minute and talk about the services that you actually provide your clients. So I think you explained to me, you're not in the room doing you're not the videographer. How do you work with clients? What's the advisory, the service that you provide?
Yeah, and thanks for asking. So, the way we are positioned right now, and we're always in flux too, by the way, because things change. So we are 100% digital. And we work with clients we have 3 sort of upfront programs that are sort of our entry programs. And then at the back end, we have masterminds, and we keep people going in groups, or if they prefer one-on-one. So we give them accountability, support, and make sure that they keep posting consistently, and that they don't get themselves into trouble with getting too fancy schmancy. Because again, the prize is getting clients through the door, not making more amazing videos, which again, if that becomes your hobby, absolutely, but it's not the focus. So we have a challenge which we run twice a year. It's a great way for people who are doing video but want to get more facility with doing it routinely and fast and as a sort of a daily practice. So those are challenges that last for a full month, Monday through Friday. And we do them on purpose full month because you can cheat yourself through week 1 and 2, but at the latest by week 3, everything goes to hell. And you need to really figure out whether your systems on how you're doing videos are really the most efficient they can be. So that's a challenge, which is for people who already are doing video and want to sort of, get themselves wrapped around the idea of doing it more efficiently. And then our signature program is a cohort. It's a 8-week program. And that really is meant to give you a full 360. What is video marketing? How can I make it work for my business? How can I shoot myself or film myself with my smartphone so I look professional, but I'm also not, killing a half a day every week to shoot myself. So how can I be most efficient to get the most bang for my time and my buck? And we help you to learn how to edit if you want to do it yourself. If not, we help you set you up with an editor. And the whole idea is just really to come out of these 8 weeks and be very confident and clear about what your video marketing is and is not, and how it can help you. And that's our signature program. And then I have several one-on-one packages that are much higher end and that do various different things. We have like the intensive for people who have absolutely no time and just want to get it done and set up a system and walk away from it. I also do 3 months programs for people who want to learn to do sort of a hybrid do-it-yourself done for you. And then I have a lot of affiliates that I do packages for, mostly Zoom interviews. So those are one and done affairs where people come in, I interview them, and then we cut it up and it creates, an hour interview can easily create 15 videos.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you interview someone, record the Zoom,
Yep.
cut it up,
Yep.
and they get videos coming out of that that they can use just, because they're talking on the screen.
Exactly.
Right.
That's for somebody who has no interest in. I think for somebody who wants to do video to really market themselves and do it consistently on a media platform, I think it's really important that they really learn how to film themselves.
Yeah.
To have that independence. But there are people out there, like I'm working with a woman who does press releases. She just needs people to have a couple of videos to put with the press release. And these might be people who have no interest in ever doing any other videos but those, or at least initially they don't. So for them, it's much more a done with you and done for you service. So it's just the ends to a means. It's the means to an end.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Nina, if people wanted to find out more about your service, where would you like to send them?
I always love to send people to my quiz because it's a great way for you to find out where you stand with your video marketing and maybe uncover a couple of blind spots that you didn't know you had, hence blind spot. And that's at consistentvideo.com. But LinkedIn, I live on LinkedIn. I do as I preach. So if you look up Nina Froriep on LinkedIn, you will see us put out video. You will see us put out our call to actions. You will see the living and breathing thing. And I get, other than referrals, my clients come nearly 100% from LinkedIn. So, and inbound only. We don't do outbound right now. So inbound only, and we do well.
That is amazing. I mean, it's a testament to your own work, right?
Exactly. So I always say, and of course, people that we work with I have people who are, their main platform is Facebook or Instagram. But I always say, if you work with me and you are a LinkedIn person, you get sort of that add-on benefit of us really knowing LinkedIn in and out and knowing how to work it organically. And I actually really love that because you get to really be you. You don't have to put out advertising. You can show up as you want to show up and as you want people to see you. So I find that to be very satisfactory for us and for our clients.
Last question that just occurred to me, which I've asked myself lots of times when I've tried to post video. What is the best time of day and time of week to post a video?
Whenever your community is there to support you. So in our case, so first of all, statistics say Thursdays is the best day to post video on LinkedIn. And that's just a statistic that I saw. And from my experience, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the best days. Monday and Friday, not so much. I am part of several LinkedIn pods, and I'm in particular part of a professionally run one. We post at 10 a.m. in the morning, between 10 and 11. I know that the 30 or 60 people that are in this pod with me have made a commitment to like each other's posts and to comment. Now, dirty secret, most of us have our VAs do it for us, but the point is, I know that if I post at 10, I will immediately get at least 70 to 80 likes on it, and I will get on average about 20 comments, or let's say 15 comments, and then I make sure that I go in and answer every comment that I got.
Wow.
And that I know, and that's how it's organic, but there's a little help there. So I would say, I think, and again, and this is what I said at the very beginning, it's consistency. So even if your client goes on every day at 5 p.m., if you post every day at 10 a.m., they will always find a fresh post of yours at 5 p.m. when they go on. Even if you post at 5:05, they will see the new one from the day before. So they will always see your new content if they look for it, if you're consistent. But if you keep posting nilly-willy, 9 one day, 5 the other day, noon the next day, then that consistency is not there. And then people will not look for your content, as in going after it and, having it be a binge-worthy thing that they look for.
Yeah. Any tools you recommend to be able to do the posting, actually the posting, so you can schedule it in advance instead of having to be like there live posting it at that moment? Is there tools you recommend?
Well, tool number one is a good virtual assistant. Tool number two, so my VAs over the years and we've tried, Hootsuite, we've tried Facebook Studio, I think it's called. We've tried Status Brew. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. What none of them do is allow for native video. So if you upload a video onto LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, you never want to link it from YouTube. That's the biggest effing no.
Right.
So you want to upload it physically to that platform. I just got introduced last week to a new platform called Willow, as in the tree, Willow. Willow, yep. And they actually say that you can upload, that they upload natively for you. So we've just tried, we just signed up this week for a trial. Ask me again in 2 weeks and I'll be able to tell you. All right. But it's very promising. They also have AI to suggest articles for you. So you can also do more sharing of third-party content, which is very important to sort of mix it up and not make it be all about you. And so we're going to test and see how fast that artificial intelligence actually is learning what we like and we don't like.
All right. Well, Nina Froriep, thank you so much for joining. We will include your LinkedIn profile URL in the show notes and your website that you mentioned.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining.
Of course, my pleasure. I always love talking about the stuff that I love doing. So thank you for the opportunity.